Please turn to page 12 of the Sutra book, page 12, line 6. That is, find the 12th page in your Sutra book and then look for the 6th line on that page. The 6th line on page 12 of the Sutra text is where we will begin. We will recite a section of the Sutra together, starting from this line, and then check the passage carefully after reciting. Always practice generosity, morality, patience, diligence, concentration, and wisdom, the 6 paramitas. To help sentient beings attain liberation, one who achieves this wisdom becomes a Buddha. Let's start from this section. This verse, we spent 2 hours last time just talking about the first line, always practice generosity, morality, and patience. We took our time to reflect on the meaning of these words, considering why these qualities are so important and why they are emphasized in this teaching. Today, we'll continue with the second line, diligence, concentration, and wisdom, the 6 paramitas. Diligence is the only wholesome route for a bodhisattva because it is through persistent effort and unwavering commitment that one is able to cultivate all other. We need to pay special attention, in particular, to what the Buddhist scriptures refer to as wholesome routes. Whether it's Mahayana, Theravada, Zen, Pure Land, or esoteric Buddhism, all of these important Buddhist traditions, regardless of their particular teachings, begin with the essential step of cutting off evil and cultivating good in thought, word, and deed. If we can't truly put an end to all forms of evil and sincerely practice all that is good, then no matter how diligently you study and practice in this life, in the end, you still won't be able to escape from the endless cycle of rebirth in the 6 realms. No matter how much you try to curry favor with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or try to please them, it's ultimately useless. We must be very clear and fully understand this principle and this reality. The Buddha's help for all sentient beings is definitely not based on emotion or personal feelings. This is something we must remember and understand. The Buddha helps us by reasoning with us, gently guiding us with thoughtful explanations. His approach is truly rational and compassionate. The Buddha's blessing for all beings is to offer us valuable teachings, to patiently explain the scriptures to us, and to set a wide variety of meaningful examples for us to learn from and follow. What we see and hear, we must put into practice and realize for ourselves. Practicing it is something the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas can't do for us. Few days ago,
Bell rings.
Mingshan lectured, teaching Shurangama Sutra for 10 days. Many fellow practitioners are quite familiar with this sutra. At the Shurangama assembly, we also saw the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas setting compassionate, wise, and inspiring examples for us, clearly demonstrating and illustrating for us, with Ananda himself personally playing this important role. His relationship with the Buddha was different from others. He wasn't just an ordinary student. He and Shakyamuni Buddha were actually cousins. There were 8 cousins in total, with Shakyamuni Buddha being the eldest and Ananda being the youngest, the little brother of the group. So he thought to himself, the Buddha is my big brother, and he really likes me and cares for me. He'd say to the others, you need to practice diligently. If you don't, you won't attain liberation. But for me, it's all good. When the time comes, my big brother will help me out. He held on to this mistaken idea, but when he faced trouble with Matangi's daughter, when disaster struck, that's when he realized, even your big brother can't help you then. That's when you truly woke up to the fact you really do have to practice. There's no other way. If others are practicing diligently, Ananda has to work just as hard at his practice too. This is all to set an example for us. Where do you start your practice? Stop evil, do good, and bad, do good. Now you'll understand, when people in the world do bad things, where does that evil come from? And for Buddhists who practice good, what's the root of that goodness? This brings us to the topic of the roots of goodness. Goodness has its roots, and so does evil. Root of evil: greed, anger, ignorance. We really need to understand this clearly. If today a thought arises and you feel greedy or attached, you must become aware of it straight away. This is the root of all evil. As soon as this thought comes up, that's the root of evil at work. And once it starts to take effect, it's extremely, extremely dangerous. Countless, boundless evils all grow from this root. As the ancient masters said, don't be afraid of thoughts arising, only be afraid of holding onto them. You need to wake up quickly. When this root starts to stir, you must stop it immediately. Stopping it, this is what we call cultivation. If you really can keep it under control, that's what we call skill. If your skill is strong, you can keep your afflictions in check. This is what it means to have strong skill. If you can't control your afflictions and let thoughts and actions run wild making karma, your skill isn't strong enough. The 3 good roots in the world are no greed, no anger, and no ignorance. These are clear to see. As for the roots of evil, if you turn them around, they become good roots. In our daily lives, when our 6 senses come into contact with the outside world and thoughts arise, this is where we need to apply our effort. When you see sights or hear sounds and thoughts of greed, anger, or ignorance start to arise, you must immediately subdue them. As mentioned in the Diamond Sutra, how do we subdue our mind? Which mind is that referring to? It's the mind of the 3 poisons and afflictions. You need to stay alert at all times, because the 3 poisons of affliction have roots that run too deep and spread too wide. Over countless eons, we've developed this trouble of you can't just get rid of it all at once. It's deeply ingrained. So how could it be that easy to remove? The only way is to raise your vigilance, and as soon as it arises, immediately get it under control. So, what method should we use to control it? The Buddha told us in the sutras that there are 84,000 Dharma doors, countless methods, in truly endless ways. And what are these methods for? They are simply for controlling afflictions. Today we are learning the practice of reciting the Buddha's name. We use a single recitation to control it. When a thought arises, we recite Amitabha Buddha and it's restrained. The first thought is greed, anger, and ignorance. The second thought, then, is replaced with Amitabha Buddha. Once you have this method, your practice of reciting the Buddha's name will become effective. And only then will your recitation truly resonate. This is simply talking about worldly good roots and bad roots. A bodhisattva has only one kind of good root, because a bodhisattva is committed to cultivating the three good roots. Once these three good roots are developed, there's no problem anymore. Of course, a bodhisattva has already cut off both the afflictions of views and thoughts, and the afflictions as numerous as dust and sand, and has even broken through a layer of ignorance. They have realized the pure Dharma body. So, what about worldly good roots? They have already been perfected. What is their good root from then on? Buddha said it's diligence. Diligence is the only good root for a bodhisattva. The meaning of the word diligence is also, indeed, boundlessly deep and truly vast. Advancing means making progress, moving forward without ever retreating. As for this sutra of ours, the ancient masters classified this sutra as the sudden teaching of the supreme Mahayana. Saying it's even more extraordinary than the Avatamsaka Sutra. Some great masters in the assembly believe that the Avatamsaka and Lotus Sutras are merely introductions to the Infinite Life Sutra. Just look at how highly they regarded this sutra. How truly remarkable this sutra is. So, we know that the standard for this sutra is for those who have generated the great body-mind. But this sutra is special because it universally covers all three types of roots: superior, average, and inferior, accepting both the sharp and the dull. So, the scope of diligence here is especially vast. Perfect teaching. One must break through a layer of fundamental ignorance to truly attain the three kinds of non-retrogression. Jing, pure appears. No regression in position, conduct, or mindfulness. But in this sutra we are discussing, it's not just about attaining the three types of non-retreat, it's about perfectly attaining all three. This word perfectly, now that's truly incredible. Perfect means complete and flawless. In Avatamsaka Sutra, a bodhisattva at first stage perfect teaching attains three types of non-retreat. but it's not perfect, so who, in reality, can truly be said to have perfectly attained the three types of non-retreat, if anyone at all? Strictly speaking, only a bodhisattva at the level of equal enlightenment can be said to have perfect attainment. If we relax the standard a bit, then it's what the sutras often refer to as an avivadika bodhisattva, especially in Buddhist texts. This is something that's often mentioned in the sutras. It's stated in all three main sutras, and it's been said many times. So, you could say that this counts as perfectly attaining the three types of non-retreat. Avyakta, as explained to us by ancient great masters, is the stage above the seventh level. In other words, the lowest level is still a seventh ground bodhisattva. Only those at the seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and even the 11th ground can truly be said to have perfectly attained the three types of non-retreat. This is not an easy matter. You can see that this is far more remarkable than what is described in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Pure diligence. The word jing means pure. Only when it is truly pure, without any impurities whatsoever, can it genuinely be considered pure. Diligence is, indeed, a very important subject in the Bodhisattva's practice. The Buddha set out all sorts of methods and spoke of countless Dharma doors for all sentient beings, but it's not that you're supposed to learn every single one of them. If you think that way, or see it like that, then you've got it wrong. What the Buddha asks is for you to choose one method among all the Dharma doors and apply yourself diligently to it. Pure means this: to deeply practice one method long term is what we call diligence. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, as it is described, we see from beginning to end. That everywhere, the impressive results of diligent and consistent practice and dedicated learning are clearly visible and apparent. As it turns out, we are only now introducing the assembly present. We haven't properly and formally spoken about the assembly indeed participating in tonight's Dharma gathering yet. Now, it's telling us that all of them attain true liberation through just one Dharma method. What does it mean to attain true liberation? It means to transcend the 6 realms of rebirth and go beyond the 10 Dharma realms. So, liberation, to resolve, is to resolve the afflictions. The afflictions of views and thoughts are resolved. Modern term, emancipation. When afflictions end, you leave the 6 realms of reincarnation. Afflictions as dust emancipated, ignorance broken through. You escape the 6 realms and the 10 Dharma realms. That's what liberation means. In other words, in traditional Chinese culture, what we commonly refer to as, sometimes called, attaining fruition. So, what kind of fruition has been attained? Buddhahood, he became a Buddha. A bodhisattva at the first stage of the perfect teaching has achieved Buddhahood. Layman Jiang Nan, in his commentary on the Diamond Sutra, explains to us what it means to dwell as a Buddha. This is how he puts it. Dwelling as a Buddha is great beings at the stage of the four tasks, that is, dwelling as a Buddha. In Chen Buddhism, it's called responding to the mind and seeing one's true nature, seeing one's nature and becoming a Buddha. Who sees their true nature? A first stage bodhisattva does. By breaking through ignorance and realizing their true nature, they become a Buddha. Seeing one's true nature is becoming a Buddha. This Buddha is called a Buddha of partial realization of truth. It's real, not a false Buddha. But they haven't reached perfection yet. Why is that? The delusions have not been completely eliminated. Delusions are ignorance, and ignorance hasn't been entirely eradicated yet. Once ignorance is completely eliminated, that's true and complete Buddhahood. Even though ignorance hasn't been fully wiped out, some has been broken through, so it's a true Buddha, not a false one. Watch closely. How is this achieved? Practice. So, it's achieved through diligence and effort, not through a mix of purity and impurity. These days, we've made the biggest mistake. We are trying to learn too much. We want to study every method, put effort into all of them, but in the end, after everything, we achieve nothing at all. This has been the case since the time of the Buddha, right up until now, generation after generation. This phenomenon exists. For those of us who are truly learning Buddhism, we really can't ignore this. Take a close look and observe carefully. How did people in the past and people now actually achieve success? What are the conditions for their success? And for those in the past and present who failed in their practice, who didn't achieve anything, what was the reason for their failure? You can't say they didn't put in the effort. You can't say they weren't dedicated. They were truly committed and worked hard, so why did they end up failing? He is not diligent. To use modern terms, it is a mixed purity. It is a mixed purity. That is to say, he learned too much and too diversely, so he could not achieve anything. All of you here in this training course, I think you probably should have some experience with this. You should have some understanding of it. Our training course here only runs for 3 or 4 months. I've read your reports, the reflections and insights you've written. So you say that spending 3 months here is even more significant, truly more meaningful than the years you spent studying at the Buddhist college. And even more effective. Why is that? It's definitely not because we're more knowledgeable than your teachers at the Buddhist college, not necessarily. And are the methods we use here better than those your teachers used at the Buddhist college? Not necessarily more clever, either. We are not good as others. What principle have we grasped that makes you feel these 3 months are even more effective than years of study? What we've truly grasped is diligence. 3 months, one thing. Back at the Buddhist college, you had to study dozens of different subjects. That's the difference. During these 3 months, your mind is focused on just one thing, one method, step by step. You put all your energy into one point, and that's why you feel you've achieved something. When you were in Buddhist college, you'd learn one thing, then another the next day. Each day, you had several classes and had to learn all sorts of different things. Your mind just gets muddled. Finish class, start next. Do this 4 years, no results, 40 years, no results. From these things, we can see that the Buddhist approach to diligence really makes sense. Speeches see these people. No matter what kind of role or identity the attendees present, whether they are lay people, monks, or others, if we observe them carefully, their praise for the Buddha and their own reports all set the same inspiring example. In the world of Chinese music, we see all Dharma doors are equal, none is higher or lower. Everyone practices a different Dharma method, and each person attains realization on the path. Escapes sixfold rebirth. All of them realize the splendor of Vairocana's flower treasury Pure Land. This is something we need to reflect on deeply. We should understand that diligence is the secret. It's the magic formula. You absolutely must not mix things in. Just like Bodhisattva Juming Miaxing in the West, who firmly upheld this special practice and taught us the method of being diligent in reciting the Buddha's name. He said 3 things: don't doubt, don't mix in other things, and don't cut it off. Instructions. For Buddha name reciters, taboo is mixing. If you mix things in, your recitation of the Buddha's name definitely won't be effective. In other words, your efforts will not be effective. The true achievement of those who chant the Buddha's name is the one-pointedness of mind and an undistracted mind as mentioned in the Amitabha Sutra. One-pointedness, Buddha recitation samadhi. When mind not confused, wisdom opens.